If I were a rich man, all day long I'd sing a little song. Well, hello. We're going to have a chat about risk reward and win rate. And a warm welcome to one and all. And for those of you who have not seen me before, my name is 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗖𝗧 and I am the coffee driven Scruffy trader. What I'm trying to do is kind of put trading in the real world and maybe show you a trick or two along the way. So if that sounds good, please click the little subscribe button. It genuinely helps, and if you are subscribed, just make certain the bell icon is switched on. So what am I talking about? Risk reward. Surely every trader's rich. Well, not quite. And are the risks equal to the reward? Well, that's a little bit of a debate as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to explore this subject, because too many times you will see the glossy side of trading. It's very easy to get sort of caught up in the flashy lights and the big cars and the nice houses, all that sort of stuff.
You ding dong!
Give it to me again.
You ding dong!
But that's the reward. What about the other side of the coin? The risk. Well, that's not quite rewarding. In fact, it can be incredibly damaging.
Matron, take them away.
And when I say damaging, not only to your finances, but to yourself. Because there's so many stories of people driven into depression because they just literally can't do it, and they've literally just gambled their life savings away pursuing something that is nothing more than a fable. So how do you beat that? Well, it's with basic planning. So what we'll do is I'll break it down on the whiteboard a little bit, and I'll kind of give you a little bit of a snapshot into my thoughts of risk reward.
Well, we're waiting.
So before we start going up onto the whiteboard, let us just have a little discussion about what risk and reward actually means. You see, if you're not going into the markets with a plan, you're basically risking everything, and everything is exposed, and ultimately it's gambling. And I alluded to that just a second ago. Who wins when you're gambling? It's certainly not the punter. You know, there is an old saying, the house always wins. And that is very true, because the house has an edge, and that edge is their plan, their reward, if you like. Do they risk? No, not really. Everything is set up and laid to be in their favour. Now, you have got binary kind of games within a casino. Roulette is the classic example, because you're either going to bet on a red or you're going to bet on a black. So in theory it could go either way, 50-50. But for the casino to have that little bit of an edge, what they do is they'll put a little marker on that casino.
Are you serious?
As a white. Now they might have one, they might have two, and it moves that risk down slightly and ups the reward. Okay, so they have a risk reward that's in check, and it's only a small margin, but it's enough that if they do 100 spins over the course of 100 spins, they should be on top. their edge. Trading is no different, because when we go into the market at any one time, we are effectively 50-50 at the point of entering, because I don't care who you are, it's either going to go up or it's going to go down on the point of entry. Your trick as a trader is to figure out which way it's going to go, and you do that with technical analysis, fundamental analysis, etc., to give you your edge. Now, if you haven't got your plan, you've got no idea what the TA is, and you certainly don't know what the fundamentals are. You're literally just taking a punt. So it's inverse risk reward. You're giving all of the opportunity to the market, whereas you want the opportunity on your side. And I know it sounds a little bit odd, but it's generally the way the markets work. But does it always have to be risk reward in the favour of what you're getting? No, not at all. It really depends on how you're looking at the markets. You see, the way it's normally portrayed is you risk 1 unit to gain 2. But that means the market has to move 2 times as much to get your reward, where it only has to move 1 time to hurt you. Now, I don't like that, and I'm going to jump on the whiteboard and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So come with me and let's see if we can make some sense out of risk reward and win rate. Okay guys, so what I've done is I've wrote a couple of jog points on the whiteboard to give you an idea of something to think about with your risk reward when you're building up your trading plan. Simple stuff. Now you'll see some of them, well, 3 of them are actually the same jog point, and I'll explain why. You see, as you're creating your plan, it's very easy to sort of think, I'm going to make a fortune. You know, I've seen it. I'm going to make a fortune. It's not quite that simple. How many times do you go into the market and you think, right, I'm entering here, but the market goes against you, and then it'll finally work its way up. So you're already on the back foot because the spread's involved, there's various other things, and I'll show you that in just a second. But let me just have a little bit of a chat about these jog points. So you've got your risk and you've got your reward, and they're each treated completely separate with a simple set of criteria binding them together. Because the whole reason for the video is because I was asked why I make a comment of treating my risk and my reward completely separate. And it's because it's part of my plan, and it's the only way I can personally deal with it, because trading, believe it or not, is very personal to everybody, and we all have to deal with things in our own little ways. This is how I do it. So the first thing I look at, the risk, is how much is that going to hurt me? Right? That is the first question I ask myself. You know, and I'm looking at 2 swing points. That's how I work it. Now that can be 2 levels, it can be 2 sort of swings on the market. There's various criteria, but I'm looking at that, and then I kind of work it out with the Fibonacci tool. Right? But that's the first question I ask. How much will this hurt me? If I'm at peace with that, then it doesn't matter. The trade is good. Even if I lose, the trade is good. Now it can run £3,000–4,000 against me, but as long as I'm prepared for it, I'm happy with that. And it's all in relation to your account size. It really is. You know, because if you think I'm going to let sort of a £5,000 account run 4,000 against me, you are kidding. You know, it's just never going to happen. I'm not going to risk the entire account. But if you've got a 50k account, then that's not so bad. You know, all right, it's high, but it's not bad. And then there's ways you can reduce that risk, and I'm going to show you that as well. You know, the emotion. Now this comes to the exact part of the hurt, and it's where these are kind of combined, and I'll start going through the emotion together. Because if the hurt is too much, what's that going to do to my psyche? It's going to cripple me. You know, it's really going to hurt me. Now, there is a double side to that, and I'm going to start going down them in tandem, because I'm also looking at the gain. Is this worth it? Is the profit on the other end worth the hassle and the pain if I've got it wrong? Now, I have a figure in my mind, you know, and I can go quite risk adverse, but it looks like that on the surface, but in reality it's not, and I'll show you that in the way that I break things down. So the emotion comes into this quite a bit on both sides, because one, is it going to damage me psychologically? But secondly, there's a worse emotion. It's euphoria. Because if that trade outperforms that gain and it keeps on rocketing, I could then start thinking I'm invincible and I can't lose. And then that emotion is more damaging than the hurt emotion on the other side. Now, I know you're definitely scratching your head. How on earth can you have a worse emotion when you've made more money? It's because you will then become fearless, and you'll go into the market thinking that you can conquer it. And that's the day that you put your eggs in one basket, and that one basket blows your account. And it's because you've had a good run, not a bad run. In fact, losing is something you should learn to live with and actually fall in love with. Because if you're at peace with the losing process, then the winning becomes much nicer but easier to control. I know it sounds odd, but it genuinely is. More traders go bust after a good run than they do after a bad run. And that's quite true. So the next thing is the worth, which kind of balances out these two. Is it worth it? Do I go into the market once I've figured out how much hurt it's going to be, how much gain it's going to be? Is it going to destroy my psyche? Is it going to overinflate my ego? Is it worth it? Yes or no? And at this point, you need to be binary. Yes, it's worth it. No, it's not. Simple as that. If it's yes, you go into the market. If it's no, stay out. Simple as that. And then have you planned for it? Well, me, yes, definitely. I always plan for it. I plan for failure rather than reward. And that is kind of my edge. Kind of tells me when to get out. And I've said that before. My edge is knowing when to get out. Sometimes ego takes over and I hold on to something a bit too long. But most of the time I know when to get out. So did I plan it? Yes. And the yes is on my risk side. Did I plan my reward? No, I didn't. Now I know you're scratching your head and you think, I've got no idea what the big fella's on about here. You know, of course I'm planning to make money. You're not. That side should always be completely planned. You know exactly the point where you're going to get out. This is wrong. I've had enough. Can't take it anymore. That's it. So it's a cast iron, yes, planned. This side, on the other hand, is no, it's not. You have an idea of where you want to get out, and if you are sensible enough, you let your winner run. How far will it run? God knows. You can't plan for it because you don't know how far the market's going to go. So no, it's not planned. So what you have is an idea of where you think the target should be, and then you have kind of criteria, rules if you like, to let it run on. So therefore it's not a fully plan, it's an idea. So I hope that kind of makes sense. Now let me just rub this down a second. See, contrary to belief, I am sort of house proud of sorts. I'm not really, I'm a complete scruff. But let's break this down. So you have 1 unit and you're looking to get 2 units. Easy, job done, see you later. Not quite simple as that. Because as I alluded to before, that market has to move 2 times in order for you to be paid. But it only has to go 1 times back in order for you to lose. Right. So how do we offset all of this? How do we help it? Well, I automatically think I'm going to be wrong. I genuinely do. I go into the market expecting the market to go against me. Because part of a trading edge is not knowing what other people know. It's actually knowing what other people know. So you'll see a stochastic that's overbought. There's a fair idea there's a lot of people that are going to short that at that point. So if they're shorting, is it not common sense to think somebody who has a little bit of extra money can manipulate the market, can hold that overbought for a long time and maybe push it to the next level up? Of course it can, and it happens all the time. Short squeeze, pin bar grabber, stop out. All these words and sort of acronyms are there for a reason, because they happen every day. And how many times does it happen? Quite a lot. But it also does give you some as well. So it will be right, because I often say every system works, and they do if you know what the conditions are. So I'm expecting to be wrong, and sort of in that situation it'll push the market up to the next level. So I'm prepared to average in up to that next level, because it will retrace and it will come back, because the markets inevitably will perform 80% of the time to technical analysis. So in order to get my 2 units, I will break that by 5. And you go, what? But think about it. So this is now 5 small units to gain 2 big ones. Right? So I will have 5 tiny little positions. 5. So if I'm expecting the market to kind of go up and then work its way down, that's the real world, or the perfect world. But what normally happens is the market will do that, come down a little bit, go all the way up there, then come down. So these little blocks here are staged in. So if the market goes up, tag, come back down, I'm in profit. But how does that help the risk reward? Because my target is the same. It's exactly the same. And this little bad boy here has so far to go back up to there. Even if it gets to break even, it'll pay me quite a bit. Then you have this little bad boy on its way up, this little bad boy on its way up, and this little bad boy on its way up. And what happens is these are at a smaller rate, but the distance they are travelling is greater, but stuck within the confines of the original target. And when you add them all together, that target becomes 2.5. It actually pays you more doing it that way, but it also reduces your risk. And I know that one scratches your head. How is that reducing your risk? Because my stop is in the same place. Every single one of these has the same stop. So this one's risk reward is next to nothing. You know, it might even only be a couple of pips because it's scaled in, scaled in, scaled in, scaled in, scaled in, turned around. And I do it all the time. I know it's a strange way of looking at it, but if you find, I have done a video on it before, and it's called Scruffy Madness, because to look at it, it is madness. But I guess the crux of the whole video is just dip your toe in the water. You know, don't go into it full belt, because you're setting yourself up for a fall. But if you're already expecting the market to go against you, why not stage into it backwards? You know, so have your entry point there, have your stop there. Each one of them stages in. Let the market pick the orders up all the time, then turn around and go where you want it to go. Simple. Or would you prefer to enter there with the full position and sit in all of that heat? Because doing it that way, even if you get it wrong and you chicken out and you pull the plug there, you're still getting paid. If you pull the plug there, you're probably still getting paid, because there'll be enough in these three to pay off. In fact, it's probably there. You can chicken out on the second box. Yeah, you lose a couple of positions, but you overall will win. So your risk reward isn't always set in stone. And when you sort of looking at 2 to 1, there is another part of it to consider. Let me get rid of all of this crap, and I will show you something else. Because it's always muted 2 to 1, all right? And I understand it, I genuinely do. Right? But there's your 1 unit, and if it's an obscure market, it could have a 5 pip spread on it. So if you're going for a 10 pip target, so there's your first 5, there's your second 5, and you think, ah, that's brilliant, because I know if I get 10 pips a day pay me. You're right, it will. It's actually got to move 3 times, because you've got to cover your spread as well. And that's one of the dangers with risk reward, because you've got to cover your 5 pip spread, then you've got to hit your target. So you're actually 3 to 1. But if it goes the other way, well, the spread ain't there, because you're already sort of at the mercy of the market of going in. It only has 1. So your 2 to 1 on that scenario is now 1 to 3. And that's hard. And that's why your failure rate's pretty high. Alright, so you've got to kind of think out of the box a little bit. And hopefully, if you can manage your trade, get better profits. Hope that all kind of makes sense. But if you're stuck, by all means contact me. I'm very easy found. All my contact details are in the description below. And contrary to belief, I genuinely answer everybody's email. Can't give you the magic pill, you know, because only experience can do that. But I can point you in the right direction. So with all of that, guys, do what you love, and the money will follow. See you all in the next one.